Good morning, welcome back to Ingenuity. It's a new day and we are done. Well, for now. We got the control arm in over there. We've got the wheel bearing in over here. Just need to reconnect the battery. The exhaust is bolted up, everything's ready to go. We got the new DPFE sensor in. So that's in. The hoses were a little short, so I don't know if they'll seal, but we're gonna find out here in a second. So I'm gonna pop open this garage door, reconnect the battery, start this bad boy up and see if see how she runs. You ready? Let's do it. Alright, so she's clearly got an exhaust leak right now. I'm going to toss it back together, flip her around, bring her back in, and we're going to get started on the rear suspension. Have some cool plans for that. So, these Explorers are known for a sag in the rear. No fault of their own, they're just old springs. Well, one of the fixes for that is kind of a two-part solution. That is, you add a leaf in the rear that stiffens up the rear, and then there's actually lift shackles that go in the back. And by doing those two things, you level the front out, and usually you get about one turn out of the torsion bar for the front to bring that back up, so it matches, because it does give it a little bit of a lift. And we're going to need that little bit of a lift because we've got some snow apocalypse tires that we're going to put in here courtesy of General. So, you ready? Let's do it. Got her back in, got her turned around, jacked up on the rear axle. 6-ton jack stands underneath the front leaf spring hangers, so that way the axle can hang down. I did put some of the little 3 tons underneath the axle just to keep it from slamming down as we start to undo the suspension components. Okay, basic order of operations is what we're going to be doing. Wheels are going to come off, shocks are going to come off. At that point, the U-bolts are going to come out off the axle. Like I said, it's supported already, so it's not going to drop anywhere on us. Once those are out, I'm going to lift the axle up a little bit. Make sure we have absolutely no load, which I think we have just a little bit on these rear hangers. These come off, and then as long as we pay attention to that rear brake line, it has a rubber line. As long as we don't drop the axle too far, we should be able to then separate the springs from the axle. Once the springs are off, cut the bolt heads off, and then at that point, use C-clamps and everything, keep everything together, uncompress the spring pack, put the new leaves in there, compress it back together, bolt through, bolt it all back together. And when it goes back together, we're actually going to use the Warrior Lift Shackles to give it just a little bit of a lift. So that's the plan of attack. We're going to get going. You ready? Let's do it. So this is the actual scary part. This is the point of no return. This is where you fully commit to this. Hopefully nothing explodes everywhere. Read online that these bolts are too narrow. I don't think that's too narrow. Do, however, have 3/8 bolts, which they say are the preferred bolt to use. There's 3/8. It fits the same. Yeah, it's the same damn thing. So this is the leaf that's going into our spring pack, and this is what's going to help with that rear sag. It's going to add that additional spring strength to that leaf spring pack. Fairly simple item. It's just a leaf spring. It's got the plastic isolators on there. The overload spring goes underneath. The rest of the leaf spring pack goes up top. There's a bolt that goes down the middle through that hole there, and yeah, you pinch it all together, snug the bolt up, put the perch on, you're done. So pretty simple process. Okay, so far, not too bad. We had one broken bolt from the shock, which even then it's a shock bolt, you know, it's nothing crazy. I probably have something around here that I could even use. But mainly we're stopping because these are the leaf spring shock mount plates, whatever their name is. They're super gross. I definitely want to get these cleaned up before going back on, because some of this stuff looks like it's kind of cancerous. So yeah, anyway, gonna clean these up real quick, and we'll get cracking on the other side too, at least primed and ready to go, so when these are dry and painted and ready to go back in, we'll just start bolting stuff back together, and hopefully I find a replacement shock bolt in the meantime. So you ready? Let's do it. Hey, hi, hello, welcome back. Next day, we got our spring shock mount perch plate things. They're done. Ready to go back in. So, in the spirit of being impatient, I pulled out my ball joint press because I can put my impact gun on that and wind these springs together, and we're gonna see if that works. I also put washers on the bolt. It just makes me feel better. So, yeah, let's get to it. These are the Warrior leaf spring hangers for the back. These things are beefy as shit. Look at these things. I love the finish on here. It's like it kind of looks like it's like wrinkled, but it's not smooth. I don't know. It's cool. These things are all, like, huge. Look how beefy this is. So these are our rear shackles. This is what's going to go on the back of the leaf spring. Leaf spring attaches down here. This part attaches to the frame, just like Bruiser. If you remember those videos, we're doing the same thing except with a lot cooler parts. We use pretty much just stock, you know, Dorman alternatives there. These are actually good for about 1.5 to 2 inches, depending on the vehicle. To lift it up, you make clearance for those awesome tires. So super excited for this. Let's get them in. I'm just slathering this thing in anti-seize. Sliding them in through the bushings. They actually still have anti-seize on them from the last time I did this, which was about 2 years ago. So it does work. Cool. One side down. Alright, battery's about to die, so I'm gonna call it quits for now. I'll be back shortly once the battery's recharged. We won't get cracking on this thing. In the meantime, I'm gonna zip those bolts up, get this thing back together for you, and we're gonna keep rolling. See you shortly. Let's see how we did. Moment of truth. Oh, it's looking good. Ho, 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 ho. Alright, so now gotta tighten the rear hangers up, and as I mentioned previously, the spring purchase and everything, all the like the parking brake cable brackets, that stuff, took care of all that off camera, so it's all boring anyway. That's all tightened up. So literally the only thing left to do is tighten up the hanger bolts. It's just good to go. Let's do it. And there we have it. She is level. That is awesome. 1.5 to 2 inches does the trick. So there you go. Level your Explorer out for less than 200 bucks. Can't beat that, right? So next up, we gotta tackle some maintenance stuff. You know, some fuel filters, some spark plugs and wires, things like that. Have to grease that front ball joint. We never did get to that. I had to get a new grease on. Got that, so we'll get that lubed up. And yeah, I'll take her out on the open road, see how she feels. Go get some new wheels and tires for her, and maybe a couple little accessories to make this a little more snowpocalypse friendly. So, thank you so much for sticking around. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.